Who is the Enkindler, you may ask? The question is difficult to answer because it's shrouded in myth and uncertainty. All that we can tell about the Enkindler is that he or she, a member of the Prothean species, may have survived the millennium since the end of the last Reaper cycle. How this might be possible, and what implications this will have in Mass Effect 3, will be detailed in the first part of this episode. Episode? I don't know, it says post. I didn't put something there. This video. Sure. The first piece of information that jump-started this theory cropped up in junction with the publication of the N7 Edition's list of content on EA's Origin site. The list was the following. And I'm assuming there'll be a picture of it. It's probably a picture of it right now. You're probably seeing it. I'm not going to read it. But you're seeing it. No, the important thing to get from it is that it says that there's a day one DLC, the Prothean adventure/character. Now, as you can see, the implication is intriguing. Shortly after, a thread was created on the network talking about the Prothean and what it could possibly be. BioWare's chief officer of security, the network's own Chris Presley, quickly followed up with this response. He wrote, "Sorry, that was a mistake from old text. This is being removed. Hate to be a killjoy." Oh wait, no I don't. And then he's got the little devil smiley face that he always puts on there. That mean man. So, rumor averted? Or was it? At first glance, one might derive that in Presley's post that he is discrediting the idea as a whole. Many fans surely interpreted it as such, casting aside all their previous notions about the Prothean character without thinking twice about it. But a keen mind keener than my own, definitely, might realize that his choice of words was highly selective. It may simply mean that they will remove the Prothean from the text to make up for their accidental spoiler. One should note that the new N7 Edition content list, readily available through Google Image Search, contains the following segment of text. It says, also includes exclusive extended soundtrack, Dark Horse comic book, additional downloadable mission and character, and bonus avatar and more. Additional downloadable mission and character? Wasn't that debunked by Presley? Suspicious. Would they have replaced the Prothean with another non-Prothean character? Or only if they decided to make the Prothean part of the base game? All things considered, it seems that the Prothean character is indeed real, but why? What relevance could he or she add to the story? The Protheans have been dead for 50,000 years. There is no way they could have survived this long. The answer to this depends on information we do not have, but speculation has indicated that we might be closer to the answer than we might think. A thread was created on the Steam forums by user Mimaz98. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you know, I'm working with the American education system, what do you expect? Containing a section dedicated to the Prothean legacy. 2 paragraphs in particular stood out. Mamaz wrote, "What is interesting in the nature of the Conduit project is the nature of the Conduit project itself. Why would it have been classified to begin with? Why would that not have been public knowledge given the enormity of the scientific achievement? Are we really going to assume that the construction of the Conduit to begin with, which was kept from the Prothean public, was something that was made purely out of scientific curiosity and an interest in scientific advancement? That coincidentally just happens to be the key to the Prothean thwarting the Reapers 50,000 years later? That it all just so happens to conveniently grant the Protheans access to the Citadel from which they can alter the Keepers when needed? Indeed, why were hundreds of stasis pods constructed if not to preempt some catastrophic disaster? I'm not convinced." It's Mimaz talking still. He also goes on to say, "Let's assume that the Protheans somehow became aware, on some level or another, of the existence of Reapers before their invasion. Perhaps they were able to do what the current Council seemingly cannot, connect the dots. There is a lot of evidence spread throughout the galaxy of the Reaper actions, especially through the correlation of of data regarding previous inexplicable extinction events that were usually the result of sustained and calculated orbital bombardments. the Protheans become aware that the time for the next extinction cycle event is incredibly close. In response to this discovery, the Protheans begin development of a number of initiatives: the Conduit Project, the Beacons, nudging lesser races along to ensure greater genetic biodiversity in the future. All of these initiatives are self-contained, and those working on the project can't be aware of the others. Vigil says that all records of Ilos were destroyed when the Reapers attacked the Citadel. We can assume that if there were other similar top-secret projects, those records would also have been destroyed. This would have been to reduce the chances of a leak or the Reapers discovering one when they subsequently the rest. Now, from what he says, even though this is mere speculation, it implies that the Protheans have foreseen the Reaper invasion and taken countermeasures against it, just as Shepard and his few allies are doing in Mass Effect. And sure enough, in the layer of the Shadow Broker, Liara surmises that the Shadow Broker data from the Shadow Broker data that the Protheans may have had other plans and other projects based like the one on Ilos hidden from the Reapers. And Shiara's trinket, the orb on Elantania, I guess, and the Prothean orb and the Firewalker DLC, you get a huge case of foreshadowing of the importance of the Protheans in Mass Effect 3. First of all, I need to begin by saying that the Prothean survivor most likely is not part of the Ilos group. It is possible, but that would hinge on Vigil either being wrong or lying, both of which are unlikely. Entertain the thought laid out by Mimaz98 that the Protheans knew of the Reapers. They started several projects to fight them and stop the cycle of extinction. Aware of the danger and the possibility of an extended invasion, the Protheans prepare for a worst-case scenario of not being able to stop the Reapers in time by building massive cryostasis centrals below their facilities designed to last centuries. When the invasion hits, all teams use the beacons to learn vital clues about their aggressors. 1. The Citadel is a mass relay built by the Reapers, and they use it to invade the galaxy. 2. The mechanics of indoctrination and how the Reapers use it to enslave Protheans in order to use them as agents against their own kin. 3. The Reapers are rounding up captured Protheans and taking them through the Omega-4 relay, and they use a technology which infuses victims with Reaper tech to create many different kinds of Reaper organic hybrids to use as foot soldiers. Of all the project worlds, Ilos fares worst because of the cities on the surface, the large project team, the limited energy supplies, and because of the project is centralized on a single planet. Another project, the Steward Project, fares much better as the much smaller observation and bioscience teams are spread out across the galaxy in outposts near life-bearing planets with sapient life forms in the early stages. The next generation of future galactic civilizations, as it were. The Steward Project's prime directive is to study, protect, and if necessary, accelerate the process of advanced forms of pre-flight life and ensure that they are not harvested by the Reapers when they inevitably return. One of these outposts is located on Mars. All projects and project teams are completely self-contained to prevent the fall of one project team from leading the Reapers to the others. As the Steward Project spans several dozens of worlds, its teams are completely unaware of each other's location, status, or findings. It takes a long time until they receive the message from Ilos, and even then, they choose not to go there. Instead, they keep to their prime objective, studying and protecting humanity from the next Reaper invasion. As they had ships on Mars by the time the humans found the outpost in 2148, it is likely that they were capable of using said ships to drag massive numbers of ice asteroids into the vicinity of the Sol relay, melt them into a vapor, trap the vapor around the relay with Mass Effect fields, and then use cryo-based tools to freeze the vapor into a planetoid shape around the Reaper. I think they mean around the relay. The Mars team eventually manages to disable the relay temporarily by completely encasing the moon in a moon-sized planetoid of ice, preventing humanity from entering the galactic stage. The orb becomes known as the Charon by the humans by roughly 50,000 years later. Separated from the rest of the galaxy, the Protheans observe humanity from the outpost on Mars, using cryostasis pods below the main level of the outpost, powered by the massive reactors fueled by helium-3 mined by probes from asteroids and gas giants in the system, roughly every 500 years, the Protheans on Mars survive thousands upon thousands of years in cryostasis, waking up now and then to check on human progress. It is likely that one of them is the Prothean character. The importance of Mars and the observation team that studied humans has been subtly referenced throughout the Mass Effect series. In Mass Effect 1, Shepard receives a trinket from Shiara that lets him or her see a vision of Protheans studying humans. The vision could potentially take place any time before the previous Reaper invasion, but since it takes much more than 50,000 years for a planetoid of ice the size of Charon to manifest naturally, they either visited the Sol system by approaching from another relay, or the relay was originally unfrozen and was frozen down by the Protheans in order to separate humanity from the rest of the galaxy. Unless they knew of the Reapers, and the humans could very well be one of the next species to be harvested, the Protheans would have no good reason to ice the relay. Using the trinket is also flagged as a carryover plot point in Mass Effect 2, even though it received no mention at all during the course of the second game. This implies that it will have a plot importance in Mass Effect 3, which in turn implicates that the Prothean studies of humans and the observation team that performed them will have a plot importance in Mass Effect 3. It has also been confirmed that Mars will be one of the important main story planets, most likely visited right after escaping Earth. Seeing as how Mars is only noteworthy because of the presence of a Prothean remains, it implies that the small hints from the earlier two games might come into play during this mission. Even though it is not a strong point to support the theory, living Protheans studying us throughout the 50,000 years since the last extinction cycle could explain a myriad of UFO sightings recorded in history, from ancient history 5000 BC to our modern times 2000 AD. Just a fun little detail. One should note that Protheans look nothing like Greys.